I just picture curling up with all the people I love around me and holding their hands and saying my final goodbyes to them and just having real joyful moments with the people that I love most.
This is April Hubbard, the one in the car, waving. At 39 years old, she was selected as the Halifax Pride Ambassador for 2024. Being a dedicated local artist and disability advocate, some in the crowd might recognize her. But what they may not know is that in this moment, she was already approved for Medical Assistance in Dying, or MAID.
It was a really special moment to be able to go into it from the very beginning, planning that all these experiences would be my last. But it was really hard to have the mixed feelings of wanting to be at everything and wanting to do so much and knowing that my body couldn't necessarily keep up with that.
April was diagnosed with a tethered spinal cord at 17 and has been living with severe chronic pain ever since, which has been getting increasingly worse over the years. Her doctors have tried surgeries, medication, and other treatments to address her symptoms and pain. She even sent her medical file to institutions around the world, but nothing has worked.
I just had to adapt the idea that pain was going to be something I had to live with, and that I was slowly losing the use of my legs. A few years after that, I started noticing that I was having a lot more neurological symptoms further up. I had trouble with language often and finding the right word. I'd forget people's names. So yeah, there's a lot of different factors to the degenerative condition that I have, but I knew it would get to the point someday where it was no longer something that I wanted to live with. I fought off the decision to apply for medical assistance in dying for a really long time. After I had my relapse in the fall of 2022, I could no longer work. I could no longer make art. I could no longer do a lot of the activities that really brought me joy and meaning in my life. And I was losing the ability to advocate, which was such a big part of who I was for so many years. There's the big physical things like my circus career and sailing and water skiing. Those are definitely very dangerous for me to try now. So that's been lost from my world. Making art is another big one. I used to find that creativity was something that really fed my soul, and I was always dreaming up the next project that I wanted to create. But I don't have the energy to do that anymore. So I had a really big fear that I would have another change in my health and that I would be trapped at that point and stuck in a hospital bed and not being able to communicate my own wishes and desires and just not being able to get out of that situation. And I knew that was not something that I wanted.
Good evening. How are we all doing this evening? I've been told by our guest of honor that I am allowed to make obscenely inappropriate jokes this evening. Couldn't you just die? Oh. We are here for the living funeral of Hubard.
At first, I didn't think I wanted to have a funeral at all, but the more I moved closer to my death and the more I really started to think about what that meant, I felt like I still needed to say goodbye in some way, especially to my arts community and my advocacy community, and really have a moment where all those aspects of my life that have been so separate for so many years could be brought together and people could really see who April Hubbard was as a whole.
Just as April wanted, it was a night of drag and burlesque, storytelling and dance, and even a circus performance with a surprise guest.
Some fun facts. It's been almost exactly 1 year since I've done a trapeze solo. It's been 2 years, almost exactly, since I had the privilege of performing with April. And it's been 5 years since you and I have touched a trapeze together.
But that's about to change. April is going to join Vanessa as long as her body allows.
Yeah, I I was really unsure even up to the last minute if it was something I was going to be able to do, so I had told almost nobody, but it was so healing, and to just be able to look at her from up in the air again and really have that moment of closure and goodbye, it meant so much, and very much like what the living funeral meant for me. It was that moment to say goodbye.
Told me I had lost it all. How dare I take up space? But here I'm here and I am powerful, powerful.
We met in a theater space where we were both kind of in a bit of an advocacy position, and so we really bonded over like mutually supporting each other, even though we don't have the same disabilities or the same experiences moving through the world. We both have like kind of instantly we're like, yeah, but I got your back.
You know, when you meet someone new, it's hard, you can't be yourself, but with April, you can be yourself.
The thing is, I want her to know that she's so loved and she's touched so many people in so many spaces that I don't think anyone within the arts community of Halifax can walk into a space and say that they haven't even heard of April. Like, that's the impact that she's created.
With her funeral behind her, tough decisions are now in front of April. She has yet to choose what she's calling her final exit date, but she knows it will come.
I've pushed really hard these last few months, almost a year now, to try to make it through all the milestones that I still wanted to hit, but each one has become a little more difficult along the way. So knowing that it's getting closer now, and that I've started doing a lot of the steps I need to say my final goodbyes and be ready, it's starting to feel more real, but also that's comforting to me now. What I think and imagine my death will look like right now is that I want to choose one of the local theaters that I've given so much time and love to. Those are the places that feel like home to me, and a great black box theater that I can transform into whatever environment I want it to be, and having lighting and music and a ton of pillows, and I just picture curling up with all the people I love around me and holding their hands and saying my final goodbyes to them, and just having real joyful moments with the people that I love most. I jokingly say I want it to be the best cuddle puddle ever. Yeah, I just want to feel love in my final moments.
Cassidy Chisholm, CBC News, Halifax.